Blue Lock is the world's first sociopathic sports anime, and it's filled to the brim with morally questionable life lessons. We're gonna talk about what we can learn from this anime, and how a little bit of sociopathy can maybe even help us become better people in the long run. Here's what you need to know. This is Isagi, and his life is soccer. As a child, he made heroes of the sportsmen he'd avidly watch on TV, dreaming one day to follow in their footsteps and play on the big stage. This drive led him to pursue the art of soccer throughout his adolescence, and through countless mind-numbing hours of practice, he'd steadily grow, he'd steadily improve, all in the company of 10 other like-minded people. That's his team. After what feels like decades worth of practice together, things start to finally pay off. His team competes in the most coveted soccer tournament high schoolers can participate in, and they win, and keep winning all the way to the top. And now, the only thing standing between them and qualifying for nationals is one goal. If they score in the next 30 seconds, they have a shot. If they don't, they're out. Isagi is in a pickle, but has his years of training to fall back on. Soccer is a game of 11. Trust your teammates. The voice of his coach echoes in his ear. Putting faith in his teachings, he goes for a pass. It lands clean, and his teammate now has a clear shot at the goal. Isagi holds his breath, prays to Japanese Jesus that he'd made the right choice, and lets fate take its course.
Good. Now we're tied up.
As Isagi's big-time soccer career seemingly fades into nothingness, thwarted by Mr. Perfect, he's enveloped by a sense of quiet dread. While his teammates weep and curse at the gods, he holds himself together with a facade of calm stoicism. But deep inside, he knows as well as we do that it's only a matter of time till he cracks. Isagi felt the burn of that loss as much as everyone else did, perhaps even more so, realizing that he devoted so much of his life to the sport, only to remain forever mediocre. So imagine his surprise when he gets a letter telling him he'd been specifically chosen to be an official athlete, and this is where the real story begins. The letter calls out to him, and he can't say no. Early the next day, he sets off and bumps into Mr. Perfect. The two make friends as they enter a room full of Japan's best and brightest soccer players, 300 of them to be exact. They're all here for the same reason. Everyone in the room was selected to join the highly experimental Blue Lock soccer training program, put together by this guy who kinda looks like a bean. Anyway, the pitch is this. Live in Blue Lock, Japan's most modern training facility, survive, and by the end, you'll be the best striker the world has ever known. The catch? Only the top 5 out of the 300 players will make the cut, and everyone else will be banned permanently from ever playing for Japan on the world stage. Also, you'll have to abandon your current teammates, give up school, and leave your families behind for the next few years. Are you ready to give up everything you know and love for a shot at becoming the best? And the answer is yes. Watching this, you might feel that what the 300 are doing is incredibly unrealistic, that they're only doing this because it's an anime, and that no one in their right minds would give up their present and future for less than a 2% shot at success. But you'd be wrong. The stories of real people who have achieved real greatness in life all contain one fundamental commonality: a huge degree of sacrifice. The world's richest man, Elon Musk, has worked over 80 hours a week for 25 years. That's equivalent to working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week for 1,300 weeks straight. Bill Gates didn't take a single day off of work, no, not even the weekends, for over 10 years starting in his early 20s. Even at a smaller scale, you listen to the stories of self-made millionaires, and you'll hear pretty much the same thing. People diving into 80-hour work weeks, giving up everything, friends, family, relationships, for anywhere between 1 to 4 years, only to emerge at the end with fat stacks of cash and the envy of their peers. You don't just stumble blindly into wealth. Well, if you're born rich, I guess you do, but generally, it's all about making sacrifices. What are you willing to give in your pursuit of greatness? And that's exactly what the 300 strikers in Blue Lock have chosen to do. They're so devoutly obsessed with their goals that they're willing to trade everything that they have now and everything that they could have in the future for this one chance at becoming the best. And I think that's pretty inspiring. It's quite the opposite of conventional sports anime, isn't it? Instead of the typical trust your friends, love your family, grow together kind of stuff, Blue Lock sends a message to young men everywhere to pursue their dreams at any cost. Because if you don't get off your ass and take what's yours, somebody else will. Back to the anime. Isagi is the first to rush in, almost as if possessed by a demon. And that starts a chain reaction. Soon, the hall is cleared and the 300 are in Blue Lock. The culling begins immediately. The 300 are separated into teams and a ball falls from the sky. 3 minutes on the clock. The last one who gets hit gets expelled. So the clock starts ticking, and it's all fun and games until Isagi himself gets tagged. In the most unfair way possible, I might add. With about a minute left, Isagi desperately shoots. But being top-level athletes, the others dodge. 10 seconds left. And he finally catches a break. The cheater responsible for his unfair tagging gets hurt and can't move. Lining up his shot, Isagi takes a deep breath and stops. Isagi in his final moments retains some degree of honor. He can't bring himself to take out the injured gazelle. He wants to win, but he wants to win fairly. Great stories are all about transformation. Isagi in the first episode starts off with the innocence and naivete of a shonen protagonist. I wonder if he'll lose it as the series progresses. So this guy comes out of nowhere, steals the ball and lines up a sick pass to Isagi with 5 seconds left on the clock. Isagi, with a newfound resolve, sets his sights on the strongest player on the field, Mr. Perfect. And this time, there's no hesitation. The desire Isagi feels to ignore the weak and dethrone the strong taps into something ancient living in all young men. It's the drive to climb the ladder and take down everyone above you, the instinct to compete and win. This primal urge is baked into all men. It's the tiny devil sitting on all our shoulders. Every time you felt envy, every time you felt contempt. It's the fuel that pushed Elon Musk to work so feverishly and relentlessly over unimaginable spans of time. But for the vast majority of men these days, our devils are sedated, neutered even. We're taught that competition is bad and masculinity toxic. But is that really true? How can you teach young men not to compete while glorifying world-class athletes at the same time? How can you tell guys to be nice when women only seem to date bad boys? It's hypocrisy. All the men who are succeeding in life are in touch with their inner demon, but we're told to repress ours? I'm lucky enough to have been brought up in the 90s, a time where competition was still a thing, but even back then, I never tried. I thought I was too cool for all that, and believed competing for trophies was for dummies, all the while getting my girlfriend stolen by sporty jocks. It only got worse when I went to university and moved to the UK. There, I was indoctrinated into woke culture. I became a little white knighty, an ally of women, and a member of progressive society. My demon was on life support. I thought I was taking the high road, that I was morally superior to the bad boys, but in actuality, I was just hoping it helped me get laid. Spoiler, it didn't. I remember the first time one of my female friends told me they liked bad boys. I was shook. I couldn't understand it. Yet, when I asked the same girl what I could do to get chicks, she told me to just be a nice guy. A few years later, I discovered what women really meant when they said they wanted a bad boy. It wasn't that they fantasized over sociopathic delinquents. Well, some do, but in most cases, they want a man who's competent and not afraid to get his hands dirty chasing his dreams. A man who welcomes competition and plays to win. A man who's in touch with his inner demon. It's a tale as old as time, retold in many shapes and forms. Just think back to Naruto and the nine-tailed beast within him. The entire 700 episode long story revolves around him learning to tame his inner demon, and the power he unlocks when he finally succeeds. And there's a difference between a guy who controls his demon and a guy who lets his demon control him. The former gets success in life, the latter gets put in jail. So why can't women be happy with nice guys? Was a question I asked myself from time to time. And the answer is surprisingly intuitive. If some dude tries to mug your girl, who's more likely to hit back? The bad boy or the nice guy? There's your answer. Okay, so why should any of this matter to you? Well, maybe you're like me from a little while ago, a nice guy who's completely out of touch with his inner demon. And let's be real, it's not your fault if you are. We've both internalized the same regurgitated advice dished out to us by society. Violence is bad, competition is shameful, and all masculinity is toxic. But I'm here, standing on my little soapbox, desperately trying to show you that there's another path. A road that mainstream society doesn't want you to find, but one that will lead you to what you truly desire in life. If you're a man, then you have a monster inside of you, forged by your great ancestors and passed down to you through generations. And I'm not talking metaphorically either, I mean literally. The monster inside you is as real as that little slice of flesh in the corner of your eye that used to be a third eyelid millions of years ago. You just can't see it. You need to get to know your monster and learn how to use its power, just like the strikers in Blue Lock are overtly being taught to do. It's the drive you need to take on meaningful challenges in life. So the next time you feel a fire burning in your stomach, don't repress it, acknowledge it, and use it as fuel to propel yourself forward. Someone steal your girl? Don't throw a tantrum. Use that rage and hit the gym. See a younger guy driving your dream car? Channel that envy and use it to focus on building your business. That's the true essence of masculinity. To drive, to push, to compete, and to win. And I think that's best encapsulated by this clip.
こいつら11人の夢をこれが勝つってことかああなんだよこれ気持ちいい